All right, let's go to Connor O'Gara, our buddy from Saturday Down South.
Connor, save us, please.
Yeah, we get some crazy stuff during the commercial break here. I got to say, I appreciate what you wrote, what was this, a few days ago, ranking the SEC offenses, actually one day ago. Because I spent last week reading some pieces here and there about who's got the toughest schedule and ranking offenses and everything, and I thought to myself, man, here we are. We're trying to act like everything is normal, knowing full well in the back of our minds that all of these summer conversations that we always have on sports radio may not really even mean anything in the next couple of months. So it feels like an exercise in futility. Yet I still appreciate the effort.
Hey, I mean, somebody's got to do it, because if we do have a season, and if everything does happen somewhat on schedule, we got to know this stuff, and we got to be ready to go. So until we're told, hey, look, this isn't happening, yeah, I mean, we got to do power rankings. If we're not doing power rankings, what are we even doing, right?
That's what summer's all about. Some people call it summer season. We should really call it power ranking season. So, I see you got Arkansas ranked 12. And I was thinking about this, like if you could switch out Arkansas's offensive line for, say, Kentucky's offensive line, you may end up with a top 5, top 6 offense in the SEC. Just like if you were to switch out, say, Arkansas's receivers and give them to Kentucky and flip-flop that, Kentucky would be a mighty dangerous team. You know what I mean?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's a pretty good swap there. I don't know if you'd be able to talk those offensive coordinators into that, but from the fantasy perspective, I like the idea of it because you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's the thing that's holding Arkansas back from, in my opinion, looking like even a mediocre offense, because the skill is there. And look, I saw the Athlon thing from the anonymous coach who said that it looks like a team that's been hit by NCAA sanctions, and I pushed back on that just because, like, nah, he's actually a 4-star talent at the skill position. And Rakeem Boyd, as we know, is one of the SEC's best returning backs, but it's at the line of scrimmage that Arkansas is going to struggle. They're going to have these flashes where they have the big plays, but for the most part, it's going to be difficult for them to be able to consistently sustain drives against SEC competition. And the big unknown is, of course, what's going to happen with Felipe Franks in Kendall Briles' offense. I tend to think that watching Felipe throughout that 2018 season, that Dan Mullen made him look better than he was at certain points, where he had big windows to throw into, and getting his legs going and allowing that to be part of his game helped. How is he going to do that, and how is he going to do that when things aren't necessarily going as well? Felipe is a bit of an emotional roller coaster, and how is he going to handle these situations when they're down 3 scores in a game? It's and it's the second quarter or something like that. Is he going to be totally locked in? That's what we need to see. I'm not saying he can't do it. Maybe he's had some sort of a turn mentally to be able to handle all of that, but I need to see that with Felipe before I can even think about making Arkansas one of the middle of the pack offenses in the SEC.
Man, I mean, you hit it on the head there, really, because when you're playing for Florida, and this goes the same for Kyle Trask, you're not necessarily expected to be the guy that wins for the Gators, because that defense is always going to keep you close. It's much different coming to Arkansas right now, where the defense is even still behind the offense, I think, in terms of depth and playmakers. So, when you're the quarterback for Arkansas right now, it's like what you do factors more into the outcome of the game, I think, than even the Florida quarterback does.
And it's interesting because you talk about doing the swaps. I think if you put Kyle Trask in Arkansas, that's pretty interesting, actually, because somebody who has been able to handle pressure, which I think Felipe Franks is going to see his fair share of with that offensive line and the way that it's currently constructed, though you would hope that Sam Pittman is able to build up that unit. But Kyle Trask, the thing that he does really well is he gets the ball out of his hands and he gets it into his playmakers, into the hands of his playmakers in space for them to do work. And that's kind of what Arkansas needs this year. I mean, they need somebody who knows how to not try and necessarily do too much, who can throw it away and not make that costly mistake, because the margin for error is really not, it's not great enough for them to be able to do that. So I think that, if you had traded Kyle Trask with Felipe Franks, weird as that kind of sounds, that's actually kind of intriguing. Maybe perhaps that explains why one is starting at Florida and one starting at Arkansas.
Speaking of Connor O'Gara here on Halftime, Connor, let's talk a little bit about what's happening down in Birmingham today. But first, talk a little bit about what happened past Saturday when Greg Sankey came out with that statement off of Marty and McGee. Just your initial thoughts when this came up, because when we saw this, I know I saw it, Phil saw it, Matty T saw it. It set panic off amongst everybody. But nowhere in there did he say, like, the season's canceled or anything. But the way he worded it and how you heard it, just with very high risk of a football season, it set panic off for everybody that I've talked to about it.
The risk is real, and he's right. I mean, they're running out of time. We're in the middle of July. We thought we were going to have all this stuff figured out, and the problem is that you have states like, I live in Florida, and we had a record high cases for any state at any point since all of this stuff went down. That happened on Sunday. You have states like Texas and California, not just within the SEC, Darren Ravel, but there were states that continue to see these massive spikes, and they have such a big representation of FBS programs in college football. And so, from Stanky's perspective, he's throwing this out there like, look, we just had something totally unprecedented happen. The Big Ten's announcement, I think some of us are a little bit numb to sports or to certain things getting canceled at this point of the pandemic, but the Big Ten announced that they weren't playing non-conference games and essentially didn't care that they didn't have any other permission from a Power 5 conference or the NCAA. And it was an unprecedented announcement. And everybody's kind of like, wait, what does this mean for college football this year? And Sankey's like, look, there's no guarantee that we're going to be able to have a fall season if things don't turn around in a hurry and if we don't figure this out within our own communities. And I think that's what prompted such a serious message from him when, I think he's been optimistic at this point. I don't think he's been blindly optimistic in the way that a lot of these athletic directors have been. And that's just been, in my opinion, not helping matters to be like, oh, yeah, Gene Smith or Ross Bjork, we're going to have 50,000 fans at games this year, and I think everything's going to be fine in 3 months. It's like, no, that's not what anything has been suggesting. So I think that from Stanky's perspective, he put the message out there to be like, look, we have decisions to make in a hurry, and this is not trending in the right direction, and we need to get this figured out now.
What kind of decision, if any decision, do you think we could expect today once the AD's meeting is wrapped up in Birmingham?
I don't think we're going to hear about this today. Knock on wood. I don't think that this is going to be something that we're all of a sudden, like by tonight, we're going to be saying, oh, the SEC's not playing conference games this year. I think they still want to figure out the plan of what that looks like. I think that decision, if I'm guessing, and that's all I am at this point, based on what we've seen from other Power 5 conferences and the position it puts the SEC in, if I'm guessing the SEC is not going to play non-conference games this year, but there could be stuff that they're trying to figure out of, okay, if we are going to make this announcement, we need to figure out, are we playing 9 conference games? Are we going to have these non-conference rivalry games that have been staples throughout the 20th and 21st centuries? Are we going to be able to try and work something out to do that as well? I don't know. As of right now, it seems like this thing is nearing a decision, and based on the fact that the SEC athletic directors weren't able to meet that quickly, they understand the urgency of this. So we're going to hear about this before long, but I don't think it's necessarily going to happen today because I think they still have things that even they probably left this meeting today knowing that they still have to figure out. But I think they wanted to be able to have a plan in place and knowing, all right, what happens if the ACC comes out and it announces? They wanted to get on the same page because the Big Ten thing took everybody by surprise, and they don't want to be on their heels. They want to be able to react and, look like they're presenting their own strong front and not necessarily just reacting based on what other people are doing.
Let's ask you a fun question just because that way we can at least end this on a happy note. It's National French Fry Day. So where is Connor going to get his favorite batch of French fries?
I'm a bit of a – okay, so I got a take for you. And I think that the French fry debate should be the next great American debate in terms of what kind of fry is best because you can go in so many different ways and so many different places do that. I am a bit now like French fries as I am to mayo. I can't just eat regular mayo. Like, you got to do something for it it for me. You've got to, give me some Chipotle mayo, give me some spicy mayo, aioli mayo, whatever. do something special to it, because regular straight-up fries, I think there are better options. I think tater tots are better. I think onion rings are better. There are different places that you can go with your side. But give me a waffle fry from Chick-fil-A, I'm good. Give me a spicy fry from Popeyes, I'm good. There are certain things that, and I saw Ty's list. And Ty's list, let's be honest, Ty's had some questionable calls. I think for the most part, he sort of hit the nail on the head.
That's giving him too much credit.
I know. It probably is. You're right. If anybody's going to sit here and try and tell me that Steak and Shake is the best fries, just go outside and go pick up sticks and start eating that, because that's essentially what you're eating when you go to Steak and Shake. Those fries are not good. They are not actually potato in there. I'm an Irish man. Give me some potatoes in my French fries. I don't want to just taste a stick. I think that there's a right way to go and a wrong way to go with French fries, and I like it when establishments are willing to actually put in the time and the effort to do something a little bit different, some different spices, waffle fry, something like that, so it's not just the same old filler French fry, because I think that, in my opinion, there's much better options, and that in itself is overrated.
I was trying to explain to Phil, well, not explain because I know what it is, but my favorite, I love like the home style fresh cut fries. Like we have some places here in Arkansas that it's not necessarily like the crinkle cut or Ida fries or stuff like that. It's like freshly cut from a potato, and my Lord, they are good.
I think the way that you
see, that's the way to go.
Home style's got to have a little skin on it still.
Yeah, yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I agree. I tend to think that, look, if you're going to the Wendy's drive-thru and you're getting fries, first of all, those fries are bad in 6 minutes. By the time you get home with those Wendy's fries, they're a soggy mess. They're not going to do you any good. If you have to put a pound of salt on your fries like they do over at Burger King, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to step on the toes of any sort of sponsors or anything like that, so apologies if I am. But to me, no, that's not necessarily working. There's a better way to go about fries. Give me a place that's willing to just get out of its comfort zone and not just have the run-of-the-mill French fry. Do something a little bit different, maybe a wedge, a spud, something like that. I think that fries, the great fry debate needs to be something that Americans are talking about more.
Well, we're starting it today. And a good overrated fry, meaning a bad fry, which is overrated, In-N-Out burger. Those are the soggiest ones. It's like you dragged it through a puddle and no thanks, no sir. I need mine to be straight and crunchy. That works for me. Connor?
Hey, agree with that.
You promised a hot French fry take, man, and you brought one that was boiling hot in oil, man. Well done. Well done. Hopefully we'll have some better things to talk about next week involving college football, because right now it ain't a pretty picture. Have a good week.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. And if not, we'll talk about the Lance documentary, because I finally watched it.
Hey, so there you go.
We can just do that instead.
Okay, very good, very good. We know he's becoming like a Mike Neighbors of sorts.
He really is.
We could probably do an entire segment with Connor O'Gara and never bring up football once, just like we did an entire segment with Mike Neighbors on Friday, and the word basketball came up twice when we introduced him and when we reminded him that we just did 15 minutes without even talking basketball. That's what sports radio is about these days, I guess. 877-377-6963. You got a favorite fry out there?
What?
Yeah, favorite fries.
It's
I've
fine.
got mine, you've got yours. And it's National French Fry Day, so let us know your favorite ones. And we've got an Elite 8 of the best French fry bracket. We'll run through that after the break. Stay tuned on